What is the proper way of bringing Shabbos in early?
Shabbos in general begins by Shkia. We light Shabbos candles 18 or 22, 30 or 40 minutes, depends on the different customs before Shkia, before sunset. However, when Shkia comes in, that's when Shabbos starts. It is better to make Kiddush not by Shkia, but by Tzeis, when 3 medium stars come out, and when 3 stars are seen. That's the best way to do it. Shabbos comes in by Shkia. Kiddush is recited after davening Ma'ariv and saying Shema, which could be done only when 3 medium stars are seen in the sky. That's the ideal. However, some places Shabbos comes in very, very late. Some places it doesn't come in so late, but people have children and they have guests, and this is a very common custom, even though not so much in Chabad, but it is a very common custom to bring in Shabbos early. How early could we actually bring in Shabbos? So one of the names that these type of minyanim have to bring in Shabbos early are called the plag minyan. What's plag? So it works like this. An hour and a quarter before Shkia, before sunset, you could already daven Ma'ariv. It's based on a Gemara in Maseches Braches about when is really night. And there is a shitta, there's an opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that an hour and a quarter, plag, an hour and a quarter before sunset is already time to daven Ma'ariv, and you could call it the end of the day. If someone wants to daven Ma'ariv by plag, he must daven mincha before plag. You can't play a double game. You can't daven mincha after plag saying it's still day, and then davening after plag also Ma'ariv. So preferably, you should be davening mincha before plag, and then you could daven Ma'ariv after plag. Even if Ma'ariv was prayed after plag before sunset, and for sure before Tzeis, before the stars came out, a person must remember, before we even start, that Shema could only be recited when it's night. After 3 stars were seen, only then you could say Shema. So that is in terms of Ma'ariv. You could daven mincha before plag, Ma'ariv after plag, in condition that you'll say Shema only when it's time. Later on, you say Shema for itself. Then, if you accept Shabbos by plag, obviously you light Shabbos candles. You say, I accept Shabbos. It has to be said by saying, I accept Shabbos. If you didn't say it by saying, but you went to shul, and they had a plag minyan, they had a Ma'ariv, an early Ma'ariv, and the community, the shul, recited Ba'i B'Shalem by L'Chodedi, then you already accepted Shabbos, because Ba'i B'Shalem means, I am welcoming and greeting Shabbos. Somebody came late, and he wasn't there for L'Chodedi. If he answered Baruch Hu of Ma'ariv, even if it was an early Ma'ariv, if you answer Baruch Hu for Friday night Ma'ariv, for Shabbos Ma'ariv, you have accepted Shabbos automatically. So Shabbos can be accepted by plag, either by saying with your mouth, I accept Shabbos, by women lighting candles, or by saying Ba'i B'Shalem, or answering Baruch Hu with a minyan. If there's only one minyan in town, the whole community is davening in one place, and the minyan has accepted Shabbos early, every Jewish individual in this community and in this neighborhood, village or town have to accept Shabbos. If there's other minyanim, you could decide which minyan to follow and which minyan to go by. But if there's one minyan in town, which sometimes you could have only one minyan, and this minyan has accepted Shabbos, everybody in the city has to accept Shabbos at that time. Then if you already daven Ma'ariv, an early Ma'ariv where you accepted Shabbos, you could say Shalom Aleichem, you could make Kiddush, and you could have a Seudah Shabbos. However, Alter Rebbe says that it's preferred and a good thing after Tzeis to have another piece of challah. Preferred to have a kibetza. It's better to have a certain amount, but even if you only have a little bit, after it's actually nacht, actually night, when, as we said before, 3 stars were seen, you should really, as the meal goes on, have an extra piece of bread, lekavod Shabbos, when it's for sure night. So let's put this all together. Shabbos could be accepted an hour and a quarter before sunset. Even though the regular time Shabbos comes in at sunset, an hour and a quarter before you could accept Shabbos. If you want to daven mincha in an early ma'ariv, mincha has to be done, has to be said before plag, before an hour and a quarter, then you could daven ma'ariv. Shabbos could be accepted either by saying accepting Shabbos, lighting Shabbos candles, by saying Ba'i b'shalom b'lechodedi, or answering Baruch Hu. If it's the only minyan in town, everybody in the town has to accept Shabbos together with the minyan. If there's other minyanim, you could choose which minyan you want to accept Shabbos with. Obviously, you can't accept Shabbos later than sunset, then Shkia. You can make Kiddush as early as that, as early as Plag. Nevertheless, you should be eating a piece of challah after it actually gets dark, an extra piece of challah. And never forget that if you brought in Shabbos early or you daven ma'ariv early, always to say Shema when it's time to say Shema.